Hello, beloved ones. 𝐥𝐢𝐧𝐞𝐚𝐠𝐞 here. Let me know where you're watching from, if you can hear me. I am excited to be here with you, and I want us to have a conversations about our desires, why you are ashamed of your desires. This is a big one. So if you're watching on replay, hash replay below. If you are watching live, say something so I can know that you are here with me. If at all is the first time that you're coming across my page, 𝐥𝐢𝐧𝐞𝐚 is my name. I help high achievers break free from generational trauma, sexual shame, and emotional blocks so that they can shatter the invisible income ceilings and the inherited intimacy barriers, which we do have a lot of them. So let's have a conversation. And let me know if you can hear me, because I had an echo problem earlier, so I had to log out and come back. So I would like to hear your input if you are here and you can hear me. So yes, let's talk about desires. I know it's 2026 and some of you have already checked out of your list, the dreams. Some of you are still keeping on going. And for you to avoid doing and not seeing the results that you desire, this is the big question that you get to ask yourself. Am I in alignment with what I want? Or you just chasing somebody else's dreams? Or there is a part of you that is afraid of maybe not being loved if you have more of that, right? So this is very vital. I see this a lot and quite interesting. I was in a conversation with somebody earlier, and when I asked them, what is your intention for this year? They went through many stories of what's wrong, the problems, and then at the end, there was a tiny bit of, yes, this is what I want. And you may be doing the same thing and you're not aware of it. You're going through life, this is what you think you know what you want, but yet when you create, you are creating from stories. You are still stuck in what's wrong. And you are not even aware of it. Because when I said, I heard you talking about the problems, but not exactly what you want, I saw her stop and kind of like giving me an eye roll. And I get it, because you think you are on it, but you're not. And why? Because your body is communicating something that you are not aware of it. Because I bet if you were aware of it, you would have done something different, right? So when I checked in with her body, like where the imprint were calling me, and we went back to the ancestral lineages, I found that there is a lot of pain, grief, and disconnection from the desires, especially on the maternal lineage. And when I checked with the paternal lineage as well, I realized that there was also the oppression, the suppression. All of these things caused this, like it affected her connection to her desires and fully embodying who she is and what she wants. Because as much as you may think you know what you want, the question is, who are you for you to have that, for you to achieve that, right? This is a big thing. Who are you for you to have that? Because if at all, and here's the thing, even when you're talking about who are you are probably, you can say your name. Like I say, I'm saying 𝐥𝐢𝐧𝐞𝐚. 𝐥𝐢𝐧𝐞 is my surname, and this surname has existed before, and there's a lot of stories behind it, and so is your surname. And the question is, what has transpired in your lineages that has disconnected you from love, or everyone, or your health, your wealth from love? What is it that transpired? You realize that the dysfunction that has happened many years ago, many generations ago, is exactly what you're creating your life from right now, and you are not aware of it. So when I went there, I realized that there is a lot of disconnection that happened here, which was showing up in her wealth blueprint, her health blueprint, love blueprint, even spiritual blueprint. Because when you're talking about desire is what turns you on. What is it that you want? Are you chasing something out of desperation? Oh my God, it's painful here, I gotta run. When you do that, you're going to continue creating from disparity, right? Or you are led by something. When you see somebody that you're attracted to, there is something within you that is like speaking. It has no words, but you just lose yourself at that moment. You may be seeing a guy or a woman and just like, oh, I see myself with this. There is something within you that just wakes up. This is why I'm saying your desire is your soul's GPS. Your desire is your guide. Your desire is like a whisper from your higher self that says you can have that. It's not coming through by mistake. It's coming through because there is a part of you that knows you are the one who gets to achieve that. The question is, do you say yes to yourself or you contract? Or you say yes to somebody else's desire, isn't like the expectations that they have on you, for you, and you follow that, which is what is it that will be approved in the societies? What is it that will maybe be validated? What is that you need to do for you to belong? Especially when you're looking at the intelligence, which is a lot of us, we follow that because of how it's perceived. And it's quite interesting. I was having a conversation with somebody about the job that I lost many years ago, that the loss of that job came with some shame as well, because as much as I was not happy, I somehow wore that with pride of how people think of me. When I say I'm an accountant and I work for this company, it's a company that is respected. So it's kind of like it boosted my self-esteem, right? But then without it, who am I? And I'm asking you this question for you to ask yourself this question as well. Who are you without that job? Who are you without whatever that may be coming to your mind? Probably it's it's even parenting, right? Probably it's parenting. 'Cause when I look at my life, even when it came to the parenting part, when I was disconnected from my children, I had a challenge of uh where am I without my children? What are people going to think of me? Right? So probably you're still holding into a job that you're not happy with. You are holding into a relationship that you're not happy with, but it gives you something. It approves of you. People think of you a certain way, but is it really what you want, or you doing it because it's what is expected of you? When you don't have that, who are you? What is remaining? And this brings me to another topic, especially when we're talking about the spiritual blueprint. I was talking to this lovely lady, and when it comes to her spiritual beliefs, there is something that she said, and she was not even aware she was saying that. She said, I am my religion. I said, ooh, that's a powerful claim right there. What do you mean by you are your religion? How does that look like? So she stopped and said, I was not even aware. Probably it's how I'm saying it, but I didn't mean it to say it like that. But the first thing that comes out, whether we are aware of it or not, that informs us of what we think about ourselves. That informs us of what we believe, especially when we go back to the religious beliefs, right? Which is when it comes to desire, especially the sexual desire, which is something that pulls us. And then when you're talking about the desire, it still goes back to how do I feel? What do I want? There is something deep within you that is guiding you. And when you shy away from that, you are shying away from life. You are going against your own instincts, your own intuition, and you go into your head. And this is also what we do most of the times when we talk ourselves out of something. Probably you see somebody, the guy is looking good, and you're like, oh my God, I love this God's creation, right? But then there is something within you that is like, be careful here, and then you're like, yeah, you're trying to reason why you get to give that person a chance. Maybe you're with a guy who, there's a true story. Somebody was close to, I knew both the guy and the man. And this guy told this woman that I'm not ready to get into anything serious. I just divorced and whatever. whatever stories, whatever excuses that men often say. But at the end of the day, it's just like fucking truth. Like what he said is, I'm not ready to get into anything serious, but I want to play, you know. But you know what this lady said? She said, oh, he's been hurt so many times. And I guess he needs some time to just heal and whatever. So I'm gonna be here and wait for this man to heal. How many times have you told yourself that? Right? She knew what she knew. She heard what this man was saying, but then the wounds were coming through so strongly and saying, no, this man needs to heal. But if someone needs to heal, why do they get to be in a relationship? Why can't they be by themselves and fucking heal? And when they're ready, then show up, you know? But what happens then when you give somebody like that a chance? They're gonna play. When they find somebody that they are really ready to move forward with, to commit to, they will. They were interested in you, but they were not committed to you. Sometimes we just gotta be real with ourselves. And I still remember, even with me, there was a time when somebody was like, "This is a nice guy." You know, the guy wanted me for some time, and this person was like, "This is a nice guy." And I was like, "Yeah, you're right," but I was not interested. But guess what? I ended up being in a relationship with that person, and it's one of the messiest, if at all that's a word, relationship that I've ever been. Why? Because I talked myself out of how I felt. And I said, yeah, potential, potential. Let me go with it, right? But that is going to cost you. Because a part of it is like, I'm not in this. And then you go to the mind and start reasoning. You talk yourself out of what you know, what your body knows, right? And sometimes you know you want something, you've got a goal, you've got an intention, whatever that you call it. But when you connect to your body's like, I don't know, you know? But then instead of listening, this is what I shared with somebody earlier. Even if you're saying those affirmations, you have affirmed for how many years? Where are the results? Where are you giving birth to that in your physical reality? If it has not happened, that means there is a gap, right? But the question is, are you present enough to hear when your body is like, there is pain somewhere? You feel those heart palpitations, which is how I connected with somebody as well a few days ago, and the first thing that came through was those heart palpitations, and that showed me that whatever goals and everything that they had, fear is always getting in the way, right? So as I'm speaking about this, where do you see yourself when you look at your beliefs, whether it's wealth, what is it that you inherited? Love, what is it that you saw, the dysfunction, or the, because that's the love that you're gonna continue creating, right? So when you're talking about your goal, your desire, and oh, this is a big one. Sometimes you want something, but is it in alignment with the unique signature blueprint? No. You want something because of the wound. I saw women being abused, and I saw that. I told myself that I'll never allow that. So every time when you get into a relationship, or it's like I'm gonna fight and make sure that that whatever that happened to my mother, whatever that happened to my sister, my neighbor, whoever, it's not gonna happen to me. I see this a lot. There is one beautiful client, beautiful soul that I work with. She was in a beautiful relationship. Again, when you're talking about beautiful, it was beautiful. It was good. It's like they were, yeah, they were in love. But again, what are we talking about when you're talking about being in love? She was in it. The guy really loved her, but she was not fully in it. As in, like, she was not open. She was ready to get the fuck out of the relationship because her commitment to herself was, I am not gonna allow what I saw my father doing to my mom happen to me. And if at all I show this guy that I love him, he will take advantage of that and abuse me. So I'm not gonna give him that. So she was in it. The guy was fully in it, and she was in it just to be sure, not necessarily wanting to give all of herself, right? And one thing that she had a problem with was the insecurity of the husband. I have a problem that my husband is insecure and all that. Was it really the insecurity, or is because she wasn't open? She was not even aware. But after we did the work, that's when she realized that, oh shit, I didn't even open my heart to this man or to the children, right? So she was in a relationship creating it from the foundation of the wounds, the dysfunction that she saw, and she was not willing to go through the pain that her mother went through. So at times you want money, but what do you want money for? You want it because you want to prove to certain people that whatever that they saw, whatever that happened to you as a child, it's not going to happen. You're not going to repeat the same pattern, right? How do you feel about it's still contraction, right? It's scarcity that you're creating from. It's poverty. You are afraid and you really want to prove. That's why you have to work hard. But still, there is that fear that is like, oh my God, who am I going to be? Am I going to be like, sometimes it's holding into the people that mistreated you, and you don't want to be like them. So there is a contraction that comes through. The hardship that happened, and often I see this when I go back to the ancestral imprints, whatever hardship that happened, especially if at all there was criticism that came with however that your family, your lineages made money, whether there was abuse, oppression, repression, all those things. When you're creating from that, there is that contraction that is in the body. Are you aware of it? Just take a deep breath. Are you aware of that? And what do you intend to do about that? So when you look at all this shame from the religious, cultural, tribal, societal, we are afraid of saying exactly what we want. It's like boldly saying it out loud, whether it's whatever money that you wanna create per month. How bold are you to claim that? Who can you share that with? Because at times you want something, but you know that with your friends or your family, when you say that, it's like, oh my God, you are just flipping insane. Sometimes even when it comes to relationships, I can raise both my hands. When I spoke about the kind of man that I want to be with, what I dream as a relationship, the relationship that liberates who I am, it was like, you gonna be single and lonely, because that's not possible. And those were their beliefs. I could have easily bought into them. Actually, I would have been in the toxic relationship as we speak. Why? Because I had two children out of marriage. So it was like, hey, where are you gonna find a man with two children? Where are you gonna find a man with light-skinned children? And talking of it sounds silly, but um I had this like people saying you can't live a relationship because look at this, like they were giving me examples of women who stayed in marriages where their partners cheated with maybe their sisters, like that's how bad it was, where it's like, oh, this woman stayed in a relationship but her husband slept with her sister, this woman whatever. And it was like piling evidence of this is just how it is, but I was committed for that not to be my reality. I say that's not me, because what I saw the grief that they were holding into. And as much as people are telling me where you're going to find a man, now you've got two children and all that, and I was in a relationship with this other guy, and then the other time he said, I want to meet your children and I want to take you out for dinner and all that. I was like, cool, that's sweet, right? So we went out to dinner. But as soon as he parked the car, he left and he was far ahead of us. I was behind with my children. And then after that, I asked him, what is happening here? Why is it that you said you wanted us to go for dinner, but then when we were out, you didn't want even to be seen with us, because you can tell the energy, you can tell by somebody's action. And he said, yeah, this children skin tone is lighter and they're not your skin tone, so people can really see that they are not my children. And I was like, okay, but didn't you know that these are my children? Didn't you know that I've got two children? Didn't you know that this was their skin tone? You know? And if you have a problem already with what people would think, how is it going to be like when you meet your parents? right? So I ended that relationship. I was like, no, I ain't gonna continue with this. If at all you still have that problem, then go deal with it. I'm not gonna be here to, because this is not gonna take us anywhere, you know? So I was not willing to just settle for something. Yet I knew that it was not in alignment with what I wanted, because by then I wanted something serious. I was not ready just for a situationship. No, while somebody's looking for something serious. No, I wasn't ready for that. And another thing as well, even when I look at this guy, what is it that he wanted? He was gonna find something that was gonna be approved, validated in the society, right? Not what he truly wants. And most men actually marry what is, as in like, what do they call it? Whatever wife material thing. And often what they mean by wife material is like somebody who can just tolerate your shit and not call you out of your shit, and so that you can be the man who you are meant to be, right? Yeah, so there is a lot of things that I mentioned, as in like inherited imprints, the fear mechanism, the shame. There's other things that are interfering with what you want, even though consciously you think you know what you want. But the proof is, do you see that manifest, or you've been holding into that goal for the past 6 years, for the past 5 years, and you still there? Or maybe sometimes it's like, oh yeah, you're getting out of it, you are excited, and then all of a sudden, like, everything falls apart. And this is where the Queen's desire and standards comes in. You know, only for January, this offer will be offered at €147. So if you are ready to dismantle what a woman is, if you are ready to dismantle the lie that you've been sold, if you are ready to dismantle what you've seen, you know, because somebody asked me, why is it that when I'm angry and I'm angry about something, and yeah, I say something bad to someone, it happens. And I said, you've got the power to create and the power to destroy. But because when you want to destroy, there are emotions that are amplified, then it manifests at the highest level. But when it comes to creation, what are the emotions? Is it just words? Like, yeah, I want 10,000, I want 100,000, I want this guy. But it's just what you don't feel it, because your body is full of blocks, of limitations, right? So if you are ready to dismantle what you've seen, the anger, all that you're still holding into, all the revenge that you are avoiding and covering in with the mentalization of self-love, covering in with the I'm empowered illusion, this is the time for you to get this offer and break, dismantle, unravel whatever that you were told you were, whatever that stole your voice, whatever that the little girl who was told that you don't have to dream so much. Who are you? Who the fuck do you think you are? I've heard that so many times. And it's quite interesting because I'm talking about this. I had to walk this path. And I still remember vividly, actually, I've got two experiences where it's quite interesting. You know, I always say I am me, and I've always been this person. This is what you get, you know, even though it's different aspects of myself that have evolved. But I believe that I was born knowing who the fuck I was. And I still remember people talking, even when I was a child, I was running around, and there were some words that came through was, if she can guess to be successful, she will step on our toes. So that little child in me was like, ugh, ugh, do I want to step on people's toes? Who am I going to be? Right? So that held me back. I was afraid of being an asshole. So I was self-sabotaging because I wanted to be who would be accepted, who would be loved. And I'm talking about family members here, right? So something may have been said. You were young, but you had it. And the question is, how did you respond to that? Did you make that your truth? Or you deleted, denied it immediately? And I still remember, again, even when I was a child, people were talking about how I look like. I don't know if it was my grandmother, and they're like, oh, she's just going to be fat like, grandmother and all that because I haven't met them. And I listened to that as well, and I was like, heck no. There was no fear or anything. It was like, delete. That's not for me. But I know when they spoke about she's gonna step on our toes, I questioned that. I was afraid. And that became my self-sabotage pattern because at the back of my mind was, I don't want to step on their toes. I want them to love me. I want to be who will be validated. I want them to cheer for me. And I stopped cheering for myself. And I still remember that pattern. Fast forward, I remember when I was having an argument at some point with my ex-husband, and he said something, and I responded with, "You don't know who I am. You see this girl right here." I was in my whatever element, bigness, whatever. But at that moment, as much as it felt good, as in like I am bigger, because at that time, I was on parental leave. Of course, I didn't have much money, basically. And I was like, that was like 8 years ago, 8+ years ago, 10 years ago, something like that. So he was using money to try to belittle me. And I said, I'm bigger than the balance in my bank account. And as I said it, there was this power, this rush, this fire, everything that just illuminated. And I knew this is the fucking truth. I felt bigger than even the the house that we're in, right? But instead of allowing myself to marinate in that bigness, there was a part of me that was like, ooh, ain't you gonna step on other people's toes? That little girl who had that. And then I held back, I retracted, I contracted, right? So you cannot affirm your way out of the imprints that your body is holding to as the law. You cannot affirm yourself out of the imprints that you've inherited. Who are you? And that is not only you, it's what you are born into. Even when you share your name, what are the frequencies that your name holds? Can you boldly say what you want? Because a part of you is afraid. You are ashamed. How do you expect to create something that you're ashamed of? Right? And money hold the frequency just as sex. We want it, but we're afraid of it. I was laughing yesterday because there is something that I posted on LinkedIn that I work on the imprints that you've inherited. I delete them so that sex, money, and love becomes your embodiment frequency, not just a concept. And just that line, it led to my post being blocked, right? So, and you can imagine, like I said, we are the product of sex, but we don't talk about it. It's something that we're shut down from it. And this is what is shut down, especially when it comes to the womb. We are afraid of what we want, especially women. We've learned to just be here and love. But when it comes to our love being connected to the womb, the sexual frequency, for us to be led so that we can give birth, because you can't give birth to what you do not conceive. If you can't hold it, if you can't feel it, if you can't see it, you cannot have it. Where do you feel that which you say you want? Can you boldly claim it? Or you are afraid, you are ashamed, but yet when you look at your reality, your bank account, there is still that shame that comes through. So why not just go ahead and claim it? So I'm going to put the link below. Click it and embody your queen's desires and standards and power. You gotta be loud. You gotta roar like a lioness. You are not here to belong where, like I said, in a room or in a table where disrespect is served. But it's worse when you are disrespecting who you are, when you are disrespecting your passion, when you are saying yes to others but not to yourself, when you are compromising who you are, when you are still holding into relationships, jobs, marriages that do not serve your highest truth, when you are denying your intuition, and then you expect other people to commit to you. Why? I love you, and I'll see you tomorrow with more surprises. Don't forget to jump in and claim this offer. Much love.